Hi, alright, so this is my second video on my BookTube channel. Today I want to talk to you about the best video game book I think I've ever read. And what I'm talking about is, I don't mean like it's a video game book as in just factoids about video games. I'm talking it actually tells a story, a really entertaining story. The book I'm talking about is Console Wars. It's by Blake Harris. Now, I'm a Nintendo kid. I always have been. My first video game system way back in I think it was 85, around that area, was an NES complete with the Rob Robot. Now, here's the thing. That was a special Christmas because we weren't a rich family. To get something that was brand new, that was a hot item off the shelf, was actually kind of rare. Not that my dad didn't care. We just didn't have a lot of money. And unfortunately, rent and things like that come before toys. But Dad sprung for this thing. It had the Zapper gun. It had Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. It had a game called Gyromite, which worked with the robot. The robot wasn't great. The robot was basically just a toy packaged in with the game, so it would be sold more as a toy, less of a game system, because the Atari crash kind of ruined gaming for a bit. But the point is, it was amazing and it stuck with me. And I've always gone with Nintendos. I mean, like right now we do have an Xbox and we have a PlayStation, but there's a Switch right over there, and I give you my word, I've been on it more than I have any system in my house, with the exception of my work computer, but that's a different thing. But that being said, Console Wars, through the entire read, I was rooting for Sega every step of the way, because Sega was the underdog. Sega just kind of came in, and Nintendo was already this big juggernaut that was taking over, and Sega almost won. And if you read this, you'll understand why and how sad it was that they didn't win. And don't get me wrong, again, I'm still a huge Nintendo fan, but I love an underdog, and that's what this story is about. And you will be locked in from the time that their president, who would become president, who would bring them to this height, Mr. Klinsky, is approached on the beach, to the time to where he resigns. You will love it. You get attached to Sega's employees. You get attached to even Nintendo's people. Although Nintendo kind of comes off as a bear in this, they kind of come off as hypocritical at times. But everybody gets a fair shake, because at the same time, while Sega was working so hard to fight against Nintendo to get market share, they were also kind of losing their soul in the process too. And you'll see that as well, to where they start out wanting to put out good quality games with stuff that adults would like too. And then eventually they just kind of start going for shock value in their advertising in a few of their games. Also, it's kind of interesting because you get to see the relationship between Sega of America and Sega of Japan. And it's weird. It's pride seems to get in the way a lot. And of course, this is also written from an American point of view. So who knows? Maybe the Japanese point of view isn't represented well, but it really looks as if Sega of Japan was willing to sink themselves just to make Sega of America look bad. I don't want to go into too much detail though, because this is a great book and it really is worth a read. If you get a chance, pick it up. Listen to the audiobook. That one's not bad either. There was a thing on Facebook earlier today where people were debating on whether or not audiobooks are reading or not. I think they are. When I'm driving, I kind of get bored with music. I know that's blasphemy to say, but I listen to podcasts or audiobooks and whatnot, and I'll also read. But to me, audiobooks count. I will say the only strike I have against an audiobook is when I'm reading, I can come up with the voice of the character, how they speak, the inflection and what they're saying. And an audiobook, the performance kind of does it for me, and sometimes it's really good. And I'm going to talk about this down the line, but Stephen Fry does a really good reading of Sherlock Holmes. If you get a chance, definitely listen to that. But back to this. Again, this book carries us from the beginning of Sega to the end. We get a little bit of the beginning of Nintendo. we get a whole lot of insider stuff such as Nintendo Power. Do you remember Nintendo Power? When I was a kid, getting Nintendo Power in the mail was the greatest thing ever. I mean, you would open up your box and there would be something in there for you, and you would get to see video games that are being released. You'll get hints on video games, and as an adult, I look at them now and I'm like, wow, this is nothing but a big freaking commercial my dad was paying for. Like, they're still fun, don't get me wrong, but when you flip through them, it's not the most, like, biased of things. It's basically like, Nintendo's great, page 2. Nintendo's awesome, page 3. Hey, did you hear Nintendo's great? But, again, as a kid, you don't catch on to stuff like that. So, yeah, you get to learn about Nintendo Power. You learn how that came out to be. You get to learn so much about that industry, and it humanizes so much of it. And it makes so many things make sense. You also get to learn about the creation of Sonic the Hedgehog, which, again, I was always a Nintendo kid. I never really got into Sonic, but it's interesting how he not only came to be, also how they had to fight tooth and nail for how he looks. I'm not going to spoil that for you. Seriously, read the book. What they wanted to originally do with Sonic is insane. It is absolutely crazy. Basically, without spoiling too much, Japan had an idea of what an American audience would want. And if you took a 1980s action film and MTV, mixed it all in a bucket, and dumped it on a table, that was what their idea would have looked like. And what was crazy is Sega of America was trying to argue with Sega of Japan, saying, no, this isn't what Americans would like. And they weren't buying it. It was like, no, we know what we like. We assure you, this ain't it. Read it, I am telling you. So the book, again, is Console Wars by Blake J. Harris. My copy I got from Thrift Books, pretty cheap. So I think it used to be a library copy, actually. I'm not entirely sure. You see, does it have the little library thing on the inside? No, it's not a library copy. I do get some library copies here and there. They're not the best copies that you get. Like, sometimes Thrift Books will send you something and it'll seem brand new, and sometimes it'll be kind of run down. This is actually a decent copy, though. I thought it was a library copy only because it has this little label thing here. Thrift Books is covering it, but there's like something else at the back of it. But yeah, so check out Thrift Books, I guess. I'm going to throw out an advertisement for them. So yeah, Console Wars. Check it out. I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's a short one. My videos tend to be short, but I also have a short attention span, so that works out. I am reading at the moment, just to throw this out there, Treasure Island. I haven't really read a lot of the classics. I don't know why, actually. I honestly, I can't say why I've never picked up a classic book. Like, I read a lot of the Sherlock Holmes books. I'm finishing Sherlock Holmes as we speak as well. I've read, of course, Frankenstein, Dracula, stuff like that. I've read Of Mice and Men for school, loved it. But Treasure Island and a few of the other ones kind of slipped past me. So I'm reading that now, and I'm probably going to cover that at some point. Really good so far, though. The only thing I've seen of Treasure Island before was Muppet Treasure Island. Not the same, and I can actually see why they didn't go for a page-by-page rendition with the Muppets. It would not have made any sense. Oh, but if you haven't seen Muppet Treasure Island, you should. It has Tim Curry, and Tim Curry is awesome. So, that's going to be it for me. If there's anything you want me to check out, any suggestions you have on how to do these videos better, because, again, I'm new to this. I'm having fun with it, though. This is the way I like to do things. I'll probably keep doing it this way anyway, but I'm always open to suggestions. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. All right, it was a library book. Check that out. Brooklyn Public Library. So, yeah, not paying a late fee on that.